It continues to be Nereid holding true to this leader position out there in lane 1, sticking true to their finish that they had in the time trials yesterday. Nereid with just now a small amount of open water over that lane 2. That's going to be the group from White Marsh. Eleven seniors will graduate from the women's side at Nereid with 9 out of 11 committed to rowing in Coxsackie College. So if that's a testament to the athletes that are in the boat, they are committed and they are in it for the long haul. Nereid having 23 entries here at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Championships. They're looking to certainly make a run for that overall team points and put as many people as they can on a plane to Sarasota in just a few weeks.
Katie, take us through what it looks like. We talked a little bit about the coaches that are on site. Let's say, we even talked about, somebody committing to Stanford and, wanting to take the next step in their rowing career. Stanford and, wanting to take the next step in their rowing career. What are some realistic paths somebody can take within the sport? You go to college. Mm-hmm. Where do you go with that?
You can take it to college. Some people want to just compete in college and have a really great 4 years, but there are some people that, even at the junior level, that will get into junior national team and they'll get into U23 stuff, and then eventually, they'll go out for a senior national team and hopefully the Olympics. Certainly with the next Olympic cycle being here in the States in 2028, it is a bit of a controversial topic because it does. The future Olympics is dropping down to 1,500 meters instead of just 2,000. So that'll reserve comments for a future conversation off air. But I think that there's a lot of different ways that people can get involved. Certainly there's coach recommendations. There's applications for the junior squad. I know recently the junior national team coaches were just assigned and they were announced. A couple of them being on site here. I know James Konopka comes to mind. But getting your start in high school can certainly lead to competitive careers in college and so on. It just depends on what that athlete how they want their rowing career to look like. But what it wants to look like for Nereid is another spot in the Youth National Championships in Sarasota. Nereid continues to lead this charge out here, and they will be the first ones to approach that last 250 here, followed closely by White Marsh. Joe Sullivan leads the charge over at White Marsh Boat Club and primarily works with the varsity girls. When asked what he loves about coaching, Sullivan says, "I think the best part for me is seeing how happy someone is when they finally get the feel of a good stroke or when they achieve a goal." So I think if I had to guess, for these athletes in the White Marsh entry, their goal is to get onto that national stage and to showcase what White Marsh is all about to the nation. But it will continue to be Nereid charging closer and closer to that finish line here. Now rowing about a 38.5 here as they come closer to that finish. Nereid with open water over the crew from White Marsh. White Marsh open water the crew from Nereid. It looks like Nereid has the potential to send 2 entries to the national championships. White Marsh now through the line. A tie for the Sculling Points Trophy. Row New Jersey leading the charge for the men's team point trophy. And Whitman leading the women's team points trophy for right now. Brian, what are you seeing with these early leaders? Who's continuing to hold the lead out here?
Right now we have some separation. Nereid Boat Club and Blair Academy crew. Kind of stayed the same for a majority of the race so far, Katie.
Nereid out there at a 34 strokes per minute.
Nereid coached by Jessica Eifert.
Blair out there rocking about a 35.5, 36. Looks like all crews have now crossed that last 500-meter mark here. As Brian mentioned, those two will continue to be your leaders in this field. That is going to be Nereid and Blair.
You're looking at Violet Lombardo, Aaron Kirby, Piper Rosenberg, Ella Warniecki, Catherine Miguel Rasterio.
We talked about Blair last year finishing 6th in the grand final at the 2024 Youth National Championships. Nereid came in and swiped that bronze medal to earn themselves the right to say that they are the 3rd fastest women's forward in the nation at the 2024 Youth National Olympics. Both of these the Youth National Olympics, the Youth National Championships. Both of these crews are looking to earn their way back to Sarasota at a chance to best their finish from last year. So again, that was Blair that finished 6th in the grand final, and Nereid finished 3rd. Nereid continuing to lead Blair, now opening up that lead by open water as they come into the final about 10 strokes of their campaign here. Really good looking crew by Nereid here. I think what stands out to me about them is just how in sync their hands are getting away from the body at the finish, just setting themselves up, punching that front end. And it will be Nereid, your unofficial Mid-Atlantic Regional Champions and the first crew to go to Sarasota.
And we are back as we cross into the 750 meters to go of the women's under 17 quad A final. Your top 6 in the country right here on the race course right now, coming into the closing quarter, are in lane 2, Los Gatos, lane 3, Connecticut, lane 4, Nereid, lane 5, Oregon Unlimited, lane 6, Narragansett, and lane 7, Maritime. Right now it is Oregon Unlimited out there in the lead by many meters of open water at this point. They set the tone early. They just moved away from the whole field stroke by stroke, using every bit of the race course just to extend their lead all the way down. But closely behind them, we do have a close race, a matter of feet, half a deck or so between Narragansett and Nereid. Those two teams in the black and white hulls, respectively, on the course, just barely in the picture off to the left right now. As we cross 500 meters to go, there are your start to finish so far leaders, start to 1,500 meter leaders. Oregon Unlimited, followed by Narragansett in the dark hull on the near side shore closer to you, and in the background there, Nereid. And they are going to battle it out. We just saw these quads. We just saw oars in the previous race, the men's installment of this race, really turn on the afterburners and change their position. So one of these crews between Nereid and Narragansett. Will they turn on the afterburners and put on a show here for you on the near shores? Everyone that is out there, whether you have someone racing in this race or not, give them a yell. That energy that you produce will only produce even more energy out on the race course. Even if they can't hear the words you're saying, they can feel the vibrations of what you put out there. Imagine it being you out there. So give them a yell. Everyone out there on the race course now, you're watching some speedy quads come down the course.
This is our last 4-rower A final of our 2022 championships. It's being dominated right now by Oregon Rowing Unlimited. But you saw the times come through. It's so close between Narragansett and Nereid. I think Narragansett has the edge right now. I think the bow woman's wearing one of those bucket hats that Narragansett is typically known for. But Nereid is trying to go. They're trying to see what they can do to get back into the mix. They're sitting in a medal position, though, comfortably because there's a bunch of open water back. When I was looking at those times coming through, Los Gatos and Connecticut are back and forth up there for fourth and fifth place. They were separated by less than half a second at 500 meters to go. What we do know here, 5 strokes from the line, is that it looks like the first women's under 17 quad grand final and championship is going to be taken home to Portland with Oregon Rowing Unlimited. And then second place is going to be Narragansett. They're going to hang on for the silver medal, just about 3/4 of a length ahead of Nereid. And then Connecticut got away there from Los Gatos. Connecticut will finish in 4th place, a length ahead of Los Gatos, who will finish some open water ahead of Maritime. So we have 3 more A finals to bring to you, and then we'll shift to our B finals to end our regatta.
And here we are past 1,000 meters. We are into the second half of the race of this men's under 17 quad, the A final here. We are in that meaty portion, that portion that really makes you question what you're here, the third 500 of the 2,000 meter race. And let's set the field in lane 2 on the course. We have Saratoga. In lane 3, Nereid. In lane 4, Maritime. In lane 5, Miami Beach. Lane 6 is Oars. Lane 7 is Texas. Still contact across the board for all of these crews here. It looks like we have a slight stagger over there on the far side of, or on the near side of the race course, where in lane 5, Miami Beach. Am I saying that backwards? Lane 4, Maritime, excuse me. Lane 4, Maritime is out in front here in that yellow hull, taking the lead here, being very closely followed by Nereid here at this point in the race. 500 meters to go. A lot of ground being covered quickly here in these quads.
Yeah, these quads are fast. All these athletes are under 17 years of age, 16 years of age or younger is the cutoff here. 500 meters to go for Maritime to win a national championship. They're being pressed by Nereid. You see those black X's on their blades. Third place is Saratoga ahead of Miami Beach. And then Oars in Texas as they came through. I blinked and I didn't even see half of them come through. That's how fast they're moving. Look at this race even within the race here between Oars and Miami Beach. 2 Florida crews that are stroke for 4th and 5th. As Nereid starts to try to push into Maritime. But maybe the fastest mover right now is Saratoga. Saratoga showing some speed up there in lane 2, trying to see if they can get themselves maybe in a silver medal picture. As these athletes approach the red buoys here at Nathan Benderson Park, they know they'll be in the last 250 meters. Yet another thing that they have to think about as I'm watching the boat from Maritime right now get into the port side of their lane is keeping the boat straight. No mistakes, no mistakes. That includes, without a coxswain, making sure you're going straight. They have a full length advantage in that gold boat, again, ahead of Nereid. The 3 boats that you're seeing in the picture are in the medal positions, I believe, along with the boat from now Oars that has really pushed into the picture. So a tremendous, tremendous move from Oars to get into the picture. I don't know if they're going to have enough space to track down these 3, But right now, it is Maritime trying to hang on to a national title.
It looked like Oars was in there too with that for a medal position there, and then over on the far side with Saratoga. So it's going to be incredibly close between Oars and Saratoga. But Oars does look like they have the momentum with them to have gotten nearly. Did they get past Saratoga in the closing quarter of this race? Clearly Maritime out in front, start to finish, followed by Nereid. And they do. Oars poured it on in the end, really turned up the speed, stayed clean, used their technique. Blades going right to the water to sneak past Saratoga, who was in it for medal contention for a large portion of the race. Miami Beach crossing in 5th, Texas in 6th.
Another great race. That was the men's under 17 quad grand final here at our 2022 championships. We'll take just
am I in the middle or not? I just have to get the blade in and push with my teammate here. And it does look right now like we have lane 4 Nereid coming up and pushing away. Now that we have our first great drone shot, here you go. In fact, it looks like Nereid is up fairly nicely there, but with contact, and Mercer is sitting in second. The St. Joe's Prep guys coming in third and pushing. We'll see what they have. The high rating, though, right now are Nereid and Mercer, both up in 37s.
Nereid coached by Zach Spitzer. Zach doing a nice job. We love to see a good bucket in the 4, right? And that's
Always.
where we see the different rig. We see Strokesy, and then 2 and 3 on the same side, followed by Bow. Depending on who you ask, that can be either a technical advantage or strategic advantage, whether it's honing in athletes' sheer pressure, but also the amount of pressure that goes onto the rudder that sits underneath the coxswain.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's who do I want in my bow? Like I have a bowman, I have to get into a bow rower, I have to get into the bow, so I'm going to do that. Sometimes it's I got 2 big rowers that I need to put in the middle, and they're going to, or I have a guy who's, here I'm using guy hopefully in a gender-neutral way. It applies on both sides. Try not to mess that up again. But you have 2 rowers in the middle who you have someone who's better when they follow somebody else directly on their side. So very nice move going out here from sorry, I'm finding myself lost. From Nereid, yep, in front with that cross. The very nice swing into the bow, so they're really sort of pushing all the way through. You can see the Princeton Mercer crew in second, still holding on there with quite an upright style at the finish, but really getting some nice power on the front end. They seem to be moving back into Nereid, and you see very, very clean blade work. And then it seems that we have St. Joe's and Moorestown also in the 3rd and 4th qualifying spots for nationals. But a great race going here. We'll see if the Mercer guys with about 500 meters to go, a little bit less, can actually come in. Nereid now you can see just winding up on the water.
I mean, Nereid being a little bit stronger in the 4s program right now, right? Whereas opposed to their competitors from the Prep. The Prep, as we know, is a huge dominating size of a program just in the sheer numbers on the roster. But, it's anybody's game here. PNRA knowing probably exactly where each buoy is.
Yep.
Having this be their home course. Now entering the red zone, this is where we're going to start to see the cadences even spike even more as crews shift up into their sprint. But there's that chevron that we love to see with Nereid out in front, Princeton just off to their left, and the Prep looking like they've now asserted themselves into a 3rd place position. That'll be a medal position as well as a youth national qualifying position.
Absolutely, and they're popping back in, and you also have Moorestown hanging on to that, but not able maybe to sprint. It's hard to see. Maybe they'll be up there with the Prep, but I think Prep is going to come in. Nereid across nicely, bow to stern to Mercer, 3 seats up on the Prep, bow to stern.
What a race, evolving and just coming out for that last little spot for bragging rights. Lane 2, that's going to be CBA pushing their bow just ahead by a deck over Seton Prep to round out the men's youth grand final here at the Mid-Atlantic Youth Regional Championships.
And as you said, a heck of a sort of grinded out race, right? Sort of a little bit more aggressive as the boats get bigger. the aggressive rowing can work. And here on the screen we have the guys absolutely celebrating their row there from Moorestown, making the national championships. I'm sorry, that's Nereid there on with their victory. But the Moorestown guys, out in lane 6, did they go thinking that, we're going to go
Underway, we are looking at the men's youth straight fours. So this is 4 athletes without coxswain. We are looking at over in lane 0, Northville, Oakland Strokes in lane 1, Canisius A in lane 2, lane 3, St. Joe's Prep, Nereid in lane 4, Newport in lane 5, lane 6, Belmont, and NorCal Crew in lane 7. Looks to have, of course, early leaders out of the Oakland Strokes crew and Northville crew over on the right-hand side of the screen due to their faster times and faster placements within the time trial, and then the semifinals where they've not yet seen each other. So it'll be very exciting to see how these athletes respond to side-by-side competition. But it is neck and neck between those 2 crews of Northville and Oakland Strokes. Thereafter, it would be then a tie for 3rd place between Canisius A. We've got Nereid, and then far lane 7, throwing their cards out early, seeing if they can hold on and what can happen.
Well, I love to see this, and like we've said time and time again, you got to watch out for that lane 7. I'm going to call that the dark horse lane for today, because more than once we have seen a surprise jump from lane 7 here, and we're seeing that now. NorCal, who rows a lot of small boats, so they have a lot of experience here. I just want to note here, St. Joe's Prep in lane 3 actually got 3rd in this event last year. But other than that, we do not have a lot of alumni in this event, so a lot of fresh blood in this event. So really, the course is theirs. It is really up to them now to see who is going to take the title here. But again, keep an eye on NorCal and Northville, along with Oakland Strokes here out in front.
Yeah, it's definitely up to them, but it does look like we've got a great lead out of Oakland Strokes. They were neck and neck with Northville, but they have now overtaken to a 2nd place position. Then it was Nereid, Canisius, and then from there, the whole pack just moved too fast for me to even catch up. But Oakland Strokes now out in front, but they still have contact with Northville off to their right-hand side. So their bow deck, the bow deck of Northville has overlap with Oakland Strokes. The athletes in that Northville boat know that. So they can see the puddles off to the left-hand side. They can start to see whether they're getting closer or farther. Again, they don't have a coxswain in this boat to be able to give them that feedback, so they're trying to use anything at their disposal to do so. So that is on the part of the bow person in that boat to try to articulate where they are on the crew again. So now getting a good look at NorCal here on the near side of the screen, who has been throwing down some good racing here. They are probably about 4th, right behind Nereid as they cross the line. But wow, look at this. So we've got Oakland Strokes, Northville, and then in that 2nd place, it's between 3rd place, NorCal and Nereid. Darker colored shell of Canisius A, kind of in that first top 5. Then a bit of open water back onto St. Joe's Prep, Newport, and Belmont Hill, who are level across.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And I have to say the straight fours, kind of like the pairs, are some of my favorite boats to watch because they're so difficult to row. You just cannot hide in a small boat like that. And a lot of pairs, a lot of fours are used for selections for other boats. And they are used for testing. They are used for timing, to try to get into some of these other boats for time trials. And as we cross the 1500 again, we are still looking at Oakland Strokes here, who typically does very, very well in a lot of these boats. They do row a lot of small boats, a lot of pairs, a lot of fours up in the Oakland Bay area of California. So they are very accustomed to steering many boats across. They have a very large team out in the Bay Area there. So do keep an eye on them. And clearly here, this is working for them in this beautiful bucket rig.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about the challenge that a straight four provides, and why that's so is it's almost as tippy as a pair. So where you have the right hand and left hand talk to each other in the pair, you got to have both the left hand and the left foot, working with the right foot and the right hand. So when we have a combination like this as well, with a bucket having two athletes same side, in this case on the port side, rowing together back to back, it's just to hone in and tighten up all of the timing within the combination. But we are looking at Oakland Strokes trying to come across the line here first, but they are now in the red buoys. They can smell the finish line as they come towards the last couple of strokes of this race. We've got Oakland Strokes. Then we got, oh, look at this, Nereid looks to be in a strong second place position. Then we are looking at Northville, then Canisius, but every single boat on the field is upping the rate, trying to get out ahead. But Nereid pouring on a charge here. They're hearing the fans on shore cheering for them, making a charge. We've got Oakland and then Nereid. Nereid a little bit, about a half a stroke ahead of Northville on the far side. But will it be Northville? Will it be Canisius? That will be down to the photo finish camera. But now on screen we have the NorCal crew in that position next to St. Joe's Prep, and then rounding out this field will be this fight with Belmont Hill coming over.
Two needs to straighten up a little bit. That's Mount St. Joseph. And when you're up there, it's really quiet.
I mean, I think one of the greatest things to happen to our sport in terms of coverage, and it's not even to our sport, but just media in general. I know the drone buzzing can be a little bit distracting at times, but the output of what they're able to get from this angle, we would have never had this angle that, like, even just years ago. Right now, yeah, that lane 2, hopefully that they can straighten out their course a bit, but I think that this is just some of my favorite viewpoints of racing, to be able to see not only like the white water bubbles coming through, but just to get a full idea of how much it really takes to move a 60-foot shell forward like this. Like, these coxswains are driving with the size of a credit card, and let's not forget that these are beginner coxswains too, just as well as the rowers. So off to a good start. It does look like we've got an early charge from the middle of the field, and that will be the crews from, looks like, TBC and White Marsh, right? But let's not write anybody off yet. That just means that they had a clean start, they didn't have any steering problems, and they're continuing to move forward.
And Marion Mercy doing well out in lane 5. That's as you're seeing this, the second boat from the right. And you also have Nereid out in lane 1 doing fairly well as now they settle into this. And Mount St. Joseph has some good speed. They were not aligned quite on the start. Trying to think through the minutia of the starting rules now. It's sort of almost the referee should have made sure that they were pointed safely. But as it is, here we go in the race. In lane 4, White Marsh sort of pulling out and pushing into their base. A really tight race here between Marion and TBC, as we could see. And you could see the effort in all 6 crews coming off of the starting line. Here we go back up on the drone shot again. Again, a sort of clear move up into the first place as they come through the 500-meter buoy right there. Very nice connected rowing in lanes 5. That would be Marion, and 3. Marion Mercy, and 3 is TBC. Those 2 crews fairly tight. Lane 1 still in connection. Nereid still in connection with the TBC crew in 3. So we'll see what can happen there. But it looks like we're going to have a really good race here for second and third again. Always sort of where you're wanting to go. Looking for rhythm here in the boat. The very nice blade work out of both of those crews up in front. Again, long into the catch.
I mean, it's awesome to take a look at this, right? When you're in the boat, it seems like it's, just another 1,500 meters or just another 1,200 meters. When you start to see it like this and see the length of the waterway, it really puts things into perspective. So the speed that these athletes are picking up, not only just in general, but as beginner athletes, as novice athletes, learning the boat mechanics of what it means to propel and leverage and all the physics that you're going to need in high school classes, right? This is such an extreme, beautiful showcase of everything coming together.
Absolutely. Now, Nereid has been reestablishing itself right here as they came into the 750. Maybe this is where they have a move. They were behind, so they have some really nice base speed that's working for them. And we have 3 boats across racing for that second crew, that second spot now. Yeah, that's why you don't want to call the race, the horse race, too early.
No, because look at what we've got coming up, right?
Right.
We have an early leader, right? You know, they've got open water. I'm going to go ahead and say they're in a pretty good spot, right?
Absolutely.
Anything can happen, right? It's novices. We've seen crazy things happen, but you know, Marion Mercy out here in lane 5, it does look like they've got a pretty commanding lead over the other 2. But that being said, I think the other 2 are starting to really feel the pressure and just say, okay, well, there's only one more medal left. We've got to figure out how to turn it on.
And Marion Mercy here making a move. They were open water behind, but it looks to me like they have some overlap. And so that's something that maybe the bow woman looks over and says, hey, we got it, let's go. And you start to, again, sort of feel a little bit of momentum build in the crew. They're also walking away from the other 2 crews. A really nice move here through the 1,000-meter mark from Marion Mercy. Really gorgeous. Again, you see the rhythm. There's nice yellow blades, very easy to see what's going on. Great for coaching, too, by the way. You have largely a yellow, or do you have a blue shield right now?
We've got a blue blade with a yellow dragon on the end.
Yellow dragon, that's right.
I feel like looking at high school crews in general, I feel like you get very creative in the different shades. But as you get to college athletics, you know, it's a lot of navy and yellow or red and black. So it just depends. But in high school, as you said, you know, we've seen different color contrasts within different programs. Wyra, we know, it's going to have a bright orange. South Jersey with a pink accent. And White Marsh here, right, that teal or foam green, right, they're the ones charging ahead. You've got the yellow coming out of Marion Mercy, not too far behind. Then you've got the other 2 crews that are still going to be in a battle for third. One more medal up for grabs. So as they come into the back 750 of this race now, we're going to have to see who's ready to crank it up and really lay it all out there.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see if Marion Mercy can keep pushing and if that's able to sort of crack White Marsh, or does that make White Marsh come in? Again, they're closing, right? It was bow to stern, then it was bow ball on the turn on the coxswain. Now the bow ball's maybe on 5. So this is, if this works, this is going to be a great little move, and you can just see a little bit more power. I have noticed the occasional heavy move on the rudder from the coxswain, and that might take it a little bit, but they're moving. That said, White Marsh has just enough of a lead that they might just be able to absorb it, right? See it right there and respond to it.
So White Marsh now officially leading into the last 500 meters. It does look like Marion is starting to chip away at the lead, but hats off to Joe Sullivan from White Marsh for just a pretty strong sweep contingency here at the Mid-Atlantic Regionals. But Marion Mercy, you know, they're not giving up. They're not letting him walk away too easy with about 400 meters to go. I don't know. White Marsh is going to be challenged, and they're going to have to really rise above.
And Nereid has made a move to be solidly in third, also not quite getting completely dropped. So if they're able to put together a back 1,000 as they are, maybe have a little bit of a sprint. Again, I think this angle on the drone is a little misleading. For where that back crew is. You have to try and sort of read across the buoy lines. But Nereid's making a move.
This is going to be some tight racing. I think everybody's trying to walk into White Marsh, and White Marsh, you know, having felt pretty comfortable a little while ago.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Here comes Nereid.
Hopefully they can hang on, but
they're in the red buoys, and Nereid is making a huge move on the outside. And if you were White Marsh, you were probably focused on Marion Mercy right next to you. And on the outside, Nereid is saying, don't forget about us.
All right, this camera angle, we're still going to be on an angle if you're following from home. The drone footage, they'll start to see a little bit more, like right on the bow marker of what you can see, but there's only about 3 seats separating these top 3 crews. So if you're on the course, direct your energy over to the finish to watch this.
I'm saying Marion Mercy has now moved ahead of White Marsh, but just by a bit. But on the far side, Nereid is... really come through every crew there.
I would even argue they've even got open water back in the other 2. So here comes Marion Mercy in lane 5 to come in and snag that silver medal unofficially from White Marsh. White Marsh coming in third. Just behind White Marsh will be the crew from TBC Racing.
Right.
Out there in lane 3 coming up from DC. Really strong fight for that first, second, and third place finish.
That was not a novice move by that Nereid crew. I mean, they're a novice crew, but that was not a novice move. I mean, to sit there and then just sort of go and move, it just also might mean they haven't quite figured out how to get that base speed really where it can go, which White Marsh had done very nicely.
And here comes lane 6 from PNRA, right? They
Yep.
brought up the raid. Good move there. They're pushing hard. Great wrap up for their race today. And coming into the last little bit, you hear the traditional Go Mount Go off the sidelines. That's going to be Mount St. Joseph in the purple coming into their final about 10 strokes of this race.
Lane 4, Norwalk River in lane 5. Lane 6, Founders Rowing, and Hockaday in lane 7.
And here we go. We have some tight racing right now in that crew, in that group along the far side in lane 0 through lane 4. There's contact. It looks as though we have Redwood that may, we have Nereid that may have a slight lead of the rest of that pack, but by no means is that final.
No, I think you're right that Nereid may come across this milestone within the 2,000 meters in the first place, and that is correct. So it is Nereid, then Redwood Scullers. Third, a little bit hard to tell, could be Elizabeth City and then Marina Aquatic, but in quads, things can pick up really quickly. Things can change fast. We were talking about flow together and, synchronicity, whatever. You got that rolling off your tongue like butter. But just being able to work together as a crew, I think the quad is a really great boat that can really capitalize on that. When things are moving together, the boat, the shell, literally lifts out of the water a little bit. There's a little bit less drag because you're running full speed down the course, and it feels like it's easy to add momentum to.
Yeah, we're looking down at the bottom of the screen. We have Hockaday and Founders Founders off the pace a little bit. Hockaday still in this race. And then we have above Hockaday, we have Los Gatos. And so looking at this race unfold, we have Nereid managing to hold on and push out a little bit over that Elizabeth City crew.
Yeah, they're holding them off at this point, but we've got a good push out of that lane 3 and 4 between Redwood Scullers and Los Gatos. Los Gatos actually maybe level with Marina Aquatic, but I didn't look all the way over to the left. Norwalk River looks to be vying for a 4th place position against Marina Aquatic. We'll get a great view as the entire field, this 8 lanes of quads, cross the halfway mark of this 2,000 meters. We knew that Nereid was out in front, but I think the margins will have changed from our last check-in point. So it is Nereid, then Elizabeth City Crew in 3rd, Redwood Scullers. The rest of the field, blink and you miss it.
I think that's a good way to put it.
So when you're in this race, I know that we both rode in different sculling boats.
Yep.
Who do you think is really putting their foot down, saying this is when we're going to go?
Yeah, in our boat, we sort of divide. I think we talked about this a little bit, but we divided the responsibilities. I was in bow seat, and so I would make some calls. And then two-seat, who was rather boisterous, felt the responsibility. Two-seat also happened to be Henry Newsom, who I rode with in the Olympics, but he felt the need to speak up sometimes. So
just have a little bit of hype. So each person kind of adding a little bit of a different flavor to the combination.
Yeah. We gave him a title of something so that he would feel as though his comments were
valid and wanted. But sometimes you need that hype person within the boat as well. So sometimes I know I was really motivated during the thick of racing when one of my athletes or one of my fellow teammates would say something here or there. Maybe it's a quick yeah or like let's go or something to that effect. I knew that there was something igniting within one of my teammates. I knew they were about to go and I just had to hold on and keep up.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and that's the thing about every person. We look at these boats, and every person has a role or responsibility, even though it looks as though they're doing the same thing.
Absolutely, and you can feel a little bit of a difference. But crossing into the 1,500 meters, it's still Nereid over Elizabeth City. Then lane 3, Redwood Scullers, but very tight for fourth, either side between Marina and Los Gatos.
Yeah, that's really tight there. It's that battle for third place could heat up. And right now, it looks as though Elizabeth City may be trying to cut back into that lead of Nereid right now. They have contact with them, and the question is, can they just get maybe a couple more seats to put themselves into a great position in the last 500 meters of this race? They're going to have to move and do something to sort of change the dynamics of this race if they're going to want to take that top position.
Yeah, from our perspective here, sometimes the darker colored shell is a little hard to spot and see what the action is, but you can see the flip of the blades, the puddles being pushed, and they are definitely applying a great amount of effort trying to overtake Nereid off to their left-hand side, that starboard side of the boat. Could see a little bit of exchanging of glances. Nereid knows that Elizabeth City is coming now that they are into the red buoys.
Yeah, and this is what's critical right here. You're in this last part of the race. You have your sprint plan ready to go, but another boat makes a move, and the question is, did Nereid have to go before they wanted to due to the pressure of this Elizabeth City crew, and do they have enough in the tank? It looks like they are responding to that move from Elizabeth City and starting to push themselves a little bit harder, and pushing themselves a little bit farther in the lead. And so here we go. That race between for first place, it looks like Nereid is going to hold on. They are running out of water for Elizabeth City. Will they be able to do anything? And it looks like it's going to be Nereid followed by Elizabeth City. Now this race for third is heating up. Redwood Scullers is holding off a fight from both sides. Both crews are moving up. We have Redwood City, but it looks like Los Gatos, then Marina.